Hi guys, so to help you guys out with debugging some of the challenges, I'm I've created this video to hopefully make it clear like what are your options for actually debugging what's going on. So I've created this program called My Server, and what it does is basically if we send in a URL or send in a HTTP request with a URL parameter of year with a value of 100% 2025, then it should return a success. Otherwise, it returns a fail. So I will start up this server and let's try and get it to return a success message to us. So if we run Perl and then based off of the program, it listens on localhost at port 8000, uh, and we will send in the URL parameter of year equals 100% 2025. We see that it actually gives us a fail. So that's not what we expected, right? We expected it to give us a success. But even though it looks like we set everything up correctly, it's giving us a fail. So maybe to debug what's going on, we could add a verbose flag to our curl command. And what this does is it will show us what exactly is going on when we send out the request. So we sent out the request to localhost port 8000. That looks correct. And it looks like we sent in the correct path and the correct URL parameters. But for some reason, we received this fail. So uh, this is when I would, instead of testing out more stuff with curl, I would actually modify this server itself. So one thing that we could maybe do to try and figure out what's going on is print out the actual argument that the server receives as well. So if we make it printed out and we restart the server, and this time if we send in our curl request, it's still a fail because we haven't changed anything. We're just making it print out so that we can get more useful information. We actually get that it received a URL parameter of 100 space 25. So how did it get from 100% 2025 to 100 space 25? So if we think back to the way URL encoding works, the reason why this is happening is because this %20 is actually being treated as a URL encoding for a space. So how can we get around this is maybe instead of URL encoding this, instead of letting it think that this is a URL encoding for space, we actually URL encode this %sign. So if we change it to, okay, so the URL encoding for percent is 25. So %25 and then 2025. If we now send this as our HTTP request, we will receive a success. And this server also printed out 100% 2025 as the actual parameter this time. So that's how we can kind of modify the challenge programs to uh, get some debugging information that can help us figure out what it is that we need to add to our code. But you might be thinking, like, we can't actually modify this challenge program. Like, if I try to have it print hello, then if we try to save it, and we actually get this message from VS Code saying that it failed to serve because we don't actually have permissions to write into this file. If we see we don't get write permissions as a random user on this system. So that's why we also have this practice mode in the dojo. So if we start up our challenge in practice mode instead, what we can do is we can actually modify the permissions for this challenge program and make it so that we actually can save. So if we do sudo chmod 477/challenge/server. So what this does is we change the permissions so that we keep the set user ID bit, which lets it still open the flag. But we've also changed it so that there's now in this 7, we have read, write, and execute permissions as the hacker user. So basically, in other words, what this does is it lets us save changes to this file. So if after we run this command and then we save it, the warning goes away and we can actually run the server with our edited code. Yeah, but actually, it actually doesn't run successfully because I'm not sure the specific reason for this, but uh, VS Code, when you save into this file, we actually lose the set user ID bit. So if we rerun the chmod command again, and then we run the server, now it's listening, and we can check to make sure that it's actually listening to the make sure that our change actually went through this print statement. If we do another curl, we get this warning because this is this line of code. But if we check back on our server, we did get this hello message that we edited in. So basically, this is how we can edit the actual challenge programs to print out to so that we can add some debugging statements for ourselves. So basically, we change the permission so that we can actually write into this file, and then we rerun the program. Yeah. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys, and you could uh, actually use some of the stuff that I went over here in your own debugging for these challenges.